What's up, Algebra 2 students? This is lesson 43. Our objective is to understand sine, cosine, tangent, and their inverses. First of all, let's talk about right triangles, because trigonometric functions, which are sine, cosine, and tangents, are all about right triangles. And you may have seen these before, but if not, here we go. We're going to call this angle down here theta. That's the Greek letter theta. And we're just going to name the sides of this right triangle with respects to that angle right there. So this angle, or this side over here, is opposite that angle. Notice it's not next to it at all. It's opposite that. This one here is next to it, or what we call adjacent. And this one is too, but this one, you probably know from Pythagorean theorem, the one opposite the right angle is what we call the hypotenuse. It's always the longest side. So that's how we name each one of these sides. Now, if you think about it, all triangles, or all right triangles with the same angle theta, are what we call similar, because all three angles would be the same. Because if this one's the same and that one's the same, that means the third one must be the same as well. So they'd be similar, which means that their side lengths are all proportional. So if I said the opposite over the hypotenuse, for any triangle with the same angle theta, those opposite over hypotenuse would be the same ratio. And that's why we that's why we have these trigonometric ratios. Sine, cosine, and tangent. Please don't say sin, cos, and tan. It makes you sound uneducated and silly. I said silly, so I wouldn't have to say stupid. So sine, cosine, and tangent. So the ratio of sine of theta is the opposite over the hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine is the ratio of the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, and the tangent is the ratio of the opposite side over the adjacent side. And a nice, easy way to remember that, the book has a different acronym if you want to look that up, is SOHCAHTOA. You just soak your toa in water. SOHCAHTOA. The sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. The tangent is opposite over adjacent. All right. Give the ratios for sine, cosine, and tangent for the given triangle and angle. So let's see here. It says sine of theta. So theta is right here. And remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So this is the opposite side of theta. So it's going to be 3 over 5. 3 over 5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is going to be 4 over 5. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent, so this is going to be 3 over 4. Okay, now let's just mix this up just a little bit. Now we're going to talk about the angle phi. This one right here. And so notice the side opposite phi is this one. So sine of phi is going to be 4 over 5. Cosine is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, so next to phi, which is going to be 3 over 5. And then tangent of phi is opposite over adjacent, so it's going to be 4 over 3. 4 over 3. All right, now, so if you know an angle, you can find the ratio. And we just have to use your calculator, but please be cautious about this. There are two different ways to measure angles, well, at least a couple common ones. The first one that we use most often are degrees, and the second option is radians, and we'll talk about those more later. But right now we're going to be using degrees, so just make sure that your calculator is in degrees mode. I know, like on the iPhone, there's like a button in the bottom left-hand corner that you can change it between degrees and radians. So just make sure that you're in the degree mode or you will get the wrong answers, okay? So these I'm just going to be plugging into my calculator. Like again, if you have your iPhone, you're going to just turn it sideways. and you'll type in 56, and then you will hit cosine, and it will give you 0.5591. We'll just go to 4 decimal places, and actually that last one then would need to be a 2, because the next one after that is a 9. So it's rounded to 4 decimal places is all we're looking for on this one. It gives you probably like 10 or 15 digits there. Next one I'm going to say tangent of 32, so I'll just type in 32 and hit the tangent button. And this is going to equal to 0.6249. And this next one, be careful, it says 9 times that. So I'm going to go ahead and go 108, hit my sign button, and then I'm going to multiply that by 9. And this is going to be fun here. This is approximately equal to, it is giving it to me in scientific notation, 3.6059 times 10 to the negative 47. All right. Now, when we are working with sine, cosine, and tangent, we put in angles and we get out a ratio. So those numbers that we were getting out was a ratio of the 2 side lengths of a triangle. So we put in an angle, we get out a ratio. An inverse function, let's look at these 2 machines here that I drew. So you put in an input into a function, you get an output out. The inverse function, if you put this output back into it, will give you back the original input. So it does the opposite. The inverse function does the opposite of what the function does. So for sine, let's say, you put in an angle, you get out a ratio. For the inverse sine, you put in a ratio and you get out an angle. Now there's 2 different ways to write the inverse sine. One of them is written arc sine, and the other one is how we say the sine inverse. It just means the -1 sine inverse. So those mean the same thing. Those are the opposite operation of sine, and on those you put in a ratio and you get out angles. Okay, so if you have a ratio or if you can get one and you need an angle, we're going to use the inverse. So let's just try a couple of them. It says find the angle whose sine is 0.819. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 0.819. On my iPhone calculator, I have to hit the second button and it pops up with sine inverse. And I hit that button and it gets me 54.9848. So if I took sine of 54.9848, I would get out the ratio of 0.819, approximately. And then tangent, so this next one, I would just say 0.405, and then say inverse tangent, and I get out something about 22.0479. All right, good luck. Your homework is on page 189. You're going to do practice A through G, 6 through 9, and then 4 more of your choice. Good luck, guys.